Thanks. Very nice.
Have a seat?
Sure.
It is an honor to meet you, sir. We did not get to meet backstage, but it's nice to see you. Congratulations on Mad Max, and tell us what was your decision to sort of revisit the franchise after all this time?
Here?
Yes, sir.
The story popped in my head and just wouldn't get away, like an imaginary friend. It just wouldn't go away, and I always, I love chase movies. I think they're the kind of purest form of cinema. That's where the film language started. I wanted to make one long, extended chase and to see what we could pick up about the characters and the story on the way.
Does it feel, did it feel familiar to be back in this world, or did it feel new to you? What was after all this time, what did it seem like?
Both ways. It was certainly familiar, but a lot of time has passed, the technology's changed. It was a real opportunity to go back and revisit it. So, it was a really interesting thing to do. Crazy, but interesting.
So, talking about like Tom Hardy and Charlize and Nicholas Hoult, like when you're building the cast, what is it that you're trying to accomplish with these actors?
Well, people often say that 75% of your job is done as a director when in the casting. So it's very specific to characters. Obviously, I was waiting for someone like Tom Hardy to come along, that has all those sort of qualities. And Charlize, when eventually I hope you get to see the movie, you'll know there's certain dimensions of Charlize which exactly fit the character of Furiosa. So, and the same in many ways with Nick Hoult.
Yeah.
So that applies to all of it. So but by the way, can I say this is my first Comic-Con?
Are you serious? This is your first Comic-Con? How's that possible?
And I'm sorry to do this. I've got a family at home, and they don't believe I'm here.
Are you going to call them?
No, I'm not going to call them.
That'd be amazing if you called them. Hi, honey. Here's Holly. Do you want me to take a picture of you in front of it?
That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, of course. There. That's amazing.
Fantastic.
That's adorable. Come on. Does she?
And I was, I grew up in a small rural town, and I was the kid who always got into trouble for drawing cartoons and reading too many comic books and going off and seeing too many movies and so on. And never dreamed something like this would be the case. That people come all around the world to some place like this. So this is, as Charlize said, it's kind of a spiritual home ground.
It's amazing. I mean, it's like, there's that, when you're a kid and then all the grown-ups are like, that's never going to lead to anything. And then later we realize that the generation before us is stupid. And that's what, for me, it was like, your video games aren't going to be anything. Like, shut up, I'll show you. I read in EW that this film, you did like 3,500 storyboards or something to put this film together.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. I actually was determined not to do the conventional thing, and that was write a screenplay. So we basically boarded the whole film as one long comic book, and it was 3,500 panels. But so because there's not many words spoken in the movie, people only speak when they have to, and I wanted to try to tell the story as best as possible, just in pictures, and. Yeah, it was interesting. I worked with really great storyboard artists and comic artists themselves. Brendan McCarthy, with whom I co-wrote the piece, Mark Sexton and Peter Pound, and we just sat in a room and these panels came and the story came, and that's, for the most part, a lot of the movie we shot.
Excellent. By the way, we're going to take questions in a few minutes, so if you have some questions, get ready for George. So take us back to 1979. How has the process changed for you? I mean, when you're making Road Warrior then, obviously, what are you building on? Like, what was the initial idea?
Well, put simply, it really is an opportunity to go back and tell a very, very simple allegory. they're kind of like westerns on wheels. And even though it's set in the future, like about 45 years in the future, you're able to go back to a much more elemental behavior, more medieval and so on, where there's no rule of law, there's no honor. Basically, people are surviving and doing what they can. So in that way, it's very, very much like those westerns. They're very spare and clear movie, and you can get away from all the clutter. And yeah, for some reason, I just love wrecking cars and getting it on film.
And who knew that Mel Gibson would literally turn into Mad Max at one point?
Well, Max is, that's part of, we all ask the question, what is charisma? Why are there people set apart as kind of movie stars? And I think part of it is they have that internal tension. On the one hand, they're extremely lovable and accessible. On the other hand, there is an element of danger.
Yeah. And
that applies, I think, to virtually every charismatic person. That strange mixture, I'm simplifying it. I can't keep it that simple. And and I must say, Tom has that quality. He's extremely lovable and has another quality that is kind of like watching a big wild animal. You just don't know what they're going to do next. And I think that's the paradox is is one of the elements of charisma. And so, yeah, I've been lucky. I've worked with some wonderful actors.
Were you surprised when the film came over to the States in 1980 and became like a complete smash success?
Yeah, I'm surprised whenever there's success. You work so hard in a movie and you look at it and you put it out there and you have no idea how it's going to be received. And had you told me that I'd be making another one all these years later, I just would not have believed you. I would have thought you were crazy.
So obviously the film relies heavily on vehicles. So tell us a little bit about the designing the vehicles and what your vision was for that.
Well, one of the key things, as I said before, if from next Wednesday all the bad things we hear in the news started to happen, economic collapse and so on and so on, and you go forward about 45 years, all the remaining artifacts, including the vehicles, would be those that you could sort of resurrect. So one of the things we had to do with all our designers and so on is say, okay, you can only base it on real vehicles and those more likely to survive. So anything with too much technology, anything with too many computers and electricals and so on, it has to be older technology. So that was the kind of rule that we used. So when you see the vehicles, you'll recognize the antecedents.
Excellent. I think we have a question here. Hey man, what's your name?
Mike.
Hey Mike, what's your question?
Yeah, my question was just, it's been so long since the last movie in the franchise came out, and I was just wondering, has your life experience since then, now everything that you've done, has that influenced the way you've approached this? Have you taken a different approach with this film than you have with the previous one?
That is a good question, Mike.
Wow, that's a great question. To answer truthfully, I'd have to be very revealing. I would say, yeah, I hope, I really think what happens is you've got to put all your skills and wisdom into your work. It's got to bleed you dry and you put it up there somehow for better and for worse. And I hope that I've matured. I've been, I'm one of those people quite fascinated about how the world evolves. I think we all are, and some of it's incredibly inspiring and some of it's kind of scary, and and you try to get that into your work. I look back at the old films and I can barely remember how I understood how to make them. I was working out of instinct, and when I got to this movie and you end up going out there for over 100 days, crashing vehicles in an African desert, and stunt after stunt after stunt with in a lot of cases with cast doing the stunt, you kind of lose any sense of yourself and you're just working off instinct and gut. So how much that has changed, I don't know. It remains to be seen.
I feel like maybe...
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. I feel like before we get to the next question, what you were just talking about might be better reflected in footage. Did you bring some footage that you would like to show?
Yeah, we did bring some footage. And it's the first time anybody in this world has seen any of Fury Road.
Fantastic! Ladies and gentlemen, no, nothing.
Oh, I've never seen it that big.
We still, well, first, so can you what can you tell us about Charlize's character?
Oh, she's, I can tell her her name, Imperator Furiosa.
Okay.
She's the chief or boss of a war rig, the big war rig, which races across the wasteland. And they're, and Max, the guy who just wants to be himself, he thinks that's the best way to survive, gets swept up in their story.
Excellent.
So, yeah.
Let's have a couple more questions. Hi, what's your name?
Hey, how's it going? My name's Joe.
Hey, Joe.
So, if I remember correctly, Mad Max was made for a budget of about $400,000 back in '79.
Yeah.
Hollywood was a very different beast at that point. It is completely different now. You've developed an iconic character, and I now know you want to tell a completely different story. Are you able to do that in this environment, or, as Tina Turner said, do we really need another hero?
Well, actually, she said we don't need another hero, but, you know.
You're absolutely right.
We don't need to know the way home! Thank you, George. Blasta, blasta, so I think what Joe was trying to say now is, like, how, you know, did you find in this Hollywood climate, was it an easier film to make, or was it more enjoyable or less enjoyable? What was the experience?
The first movie, Mad Max, was the toughest movie I ever had to make. The budget was low, but more importantly, I really didn't know. It was the first movie set I'd ever been on, except for a short I'd made. So I didn't know what to expect. By the time I got here, I knew a lot more, you know, what to expect. But basically, I'm definitely able to make the movie I want to make. You know, we've been making movies now with Warner Brothers since that first Mad Max, and they've been, you know, they allow the filmmakers their process, and this is definitely the film I want to make. You know, the movie in my head, and this has always been the case, is never quite the movie that you get out there 100%, but this is very high up there, very high percentage of it's realized, and you know, I'm very happy about that. But you're absolutely right, the world has changed. The world has changed radically. I mean, with the very first Mad Max, we didn't have video split. We didn't know. It took over a week before we saw our dailies. You had no idea what you'd shot. Now you see it immediately, so you can be more refined and so on. And now you've got, and also I believe we as audiences have changed. We're able to apprehend cuts much faster than we had been in the past. If you look at some of the movies back then, they are rhythmically slower. And if you think of movies like music, the tempos have increased, and we're able to read, even from being little babies and little kids, a lot quicker. So things have changed.
Excellent. Hey, what's your name?
Hi, my name's Andy. Great to meet you, number one. A lot of us have been waiting over 30 years for a film like this to come out, so thank you very much. When I heard it was being made, I actually had this jersey made.
Oh, wow.
And seeing the clips kind of changed my question, but there are elements of the last two films within Fury Road, and I just want to know, tonally, how does Fury Road fit within the original trilogy?
I'd say it's closer to Mad Max 2 or Road Warrior, simply because it happens over a short period of time, over a few days, and as I said, it's an extended chase. and that's sort of tonally what Mad Max 2 was. Mad Max 1 was more of the story, you know, family story and so on. Mad Max 2 was a hybrid of those. So I'd say it's definitely closer to that.
Excellent. Thanks, man. All right, great. Movie comes out in May next year. Where are you in the process right now?
Well, I get on a plane tomorrow night and tell people about what I've experienced in Comic-Con. I couldn't believe when we drove in, people and so on. I'll take those memories back home. I go straight into the recording session. Tom, who's recording with a big orchestra on Tuesday. And it's Tom Holkenberg's doing the score, Junkie XL, really strong score. And so that's what we're doing, and pretty soon we'll be mixing it together and tidying up a few things, and we'll be bye-bye to Fury Road for me.
And then as you're sort of winding down, can you tell us about any of the other characters, anything else we can expect to see in the film?
Oh God, there's a lot of characters. The interesting thing, might as well come out with it now, you saw the guy called Immortan Joe, the guy with the long hair and the mask. That's Hugh Keys-Burns, who 30 years ago played the Tokara and died at the end of that movie, and it was great. I thought if you're in a mask, you know, people won't confuse it. So Hugh Keys-Burns plays the Immortan Joe.
Excellent. So listen, congratulations. I think everyone here is super excited to see Fury Road. I know we have to wait a little bit longer, but everything you've shown here is incredible, and it's been wonderful to meet you, and I wish you the best with this movie. I know we're super excited to see it. And a huge hand for George Miller, please. May 15th, please. But Jupiter Ascending from Warner Bros. Village Roadshow Pictures comes out February 6th of next year as well. There's more panel. I'm going to be exiting the stage because, no, I'm telling you, when the next thing is better than me, I promise you. No, I'm not trying to get love and attention. I am not the best, you shut up, Mom! I honestly, just really quickly, I cannot tell you how much I look forward to coming here and being in Hall H every year. I would never get into these panels if I didn't moderate them. So, but it is the highlight of my year to come and see you guys and see how excited you are, and just watch how much excitement comes out of you. So thank you so much. I will see you later this afternoon right here in Hall H. Enjoy the rest of the panel.